Coach DeMarco here with another Get Better Basketball Live. And today my guest is Brock Bourgase from Toronto, Canada. Coach Bourgase has coached basketball for 21 years and has a wealth of knowledge. He has coached at the club, elite, and high school levels, in addition to coaching at the university level and winning a 2017 gold medal in the Canada Games that were in Winnipeg. Coach Bourgase is going to talk to us about decision making and passing in today's episode. He's going to take us through a couple of his favorite drills before sharing an SSG that you're not going to want to miss. Another Get Better Basketball Live is up now. Coach DeMarco here with another Get Better Basketball Live, and today I'm fortunate to have Coach Brock Bourgase as my guest. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, John. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you, Coach. You've contributed a lot to the Get Better Basketball chat, and I always value and appreciate what you have to say. You share everything from SSGs to feedback on player development and so much more. And I had a chance, I know you have a website. I had a chance to look at that, and there's a lot of great information that you have on there as well. And one of the things I've noticed is that you've coached at a lot of different levels. I know you're located in Canada, and you've coached at the club level, the high school level, the elite level, the university level. So you just have this range of experience. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about that, in terms of the club level, the elite level. What does that look like for you? And can you just talk a little bit about your experience as a basketball coach, which I believe ranges over 20 plus years?
Well, it started while I was in high school, and I was at a small school. They ended up pulling the senior team when I was a senior. So I started coaching a grade 9 team and, coached them as they became JVs and then seniors. And that really helped me catch the coaching bug. And then it was a lot of just jumping in whenever there was a need, going to the being a manager at U of T, asking them if they needed any help in practice, running the clock, helping things out, being an assistant coach afterwards. As I became a teacher, making that part of my way of connecting with the kids. But, just a lot of it, was when there was an opportunity to be in the gym, when somebody was running a practice and they needed someone to get an extra hand, you show up and then you're a passer the first time you're there, or you're just, running the clock, or making the scrimmage teams, and then you increase your role from there and do more and more as people grow to trust you. So, and then, I think that probably the highlight was coaching. We have a national championship with our province. And so a lot of the Canadians in the NBA, they've gone through our Canada basketball, Ontario basketball program. So coaching Team Ontario for a few years was a chance to coach a lot of athletes that are now in the NCAA, and we were lucky to win the Canada Games, which was sort of our national championships back in 2017.
Yeah, you won, was that 2017, you won a gold medal in the Canada Games. What's it like just being, from the United States and kind of knowing what basketball is like in our country? What can you describe what that's like with the Canada Games? It sounds like it's a pretty big event that you guys have, and I think it was out in Winnipeg where you guys won the gold medal.
Right. It's sort of to get that next level of Olympic athletes ready. So the year after each Olympics, we have a national championship where there's provincial teams, and you're in the village, in the controlled environment, all the same international rules. You're competing against the best from the other provinces, and it's sort of the first step as part of, getting people used to competing, getting people used to the rules, the being in the village, getting the meals and so on. And then they go on to be on a national team. They go on to the Pan Am Games, the Commonwealth Games, and eventually the Olympics. But sort of the Canada Games is that first step.
I know today we're going to be talking about decision making and passing, and you shared a couple of drills with me, and also a small sided game that I really liked, actually. And it's something that you actually shared out in the Get Better Basketball chat last week. Can you just tell us a little bit about where you got these drills from and where you got this SSG from, and how you incorporate them with your team before we jump into some diagrams and then some video clips too.
Sure. Well, I guess it really started focusing on it maybe around 2013, 2014. We post Chris Oliver stuff a lot in the chat, and he was in Windsor for many years. And when he first got started, it was just, spreading his ideas through word of mouth, and he was always available for a discussion or to send a message to, and he had some really, really great ideas. And I think also just being on teams that might, coaching teams that didn't have a lot of size, where we have multiple ball handlers, and then you couldn't be just, you wait for this one guy to get the ball and then you initiate it. You had to be able to go with, your 1, 2, or 3, or, multiple ball handlers. And I saw how the small-sided games really helped build that, kind of attack. I think it's fun for the kids to play. They seem to be enjoying the practices. I liked coaching it, and I think it's been working out. So, and then you just do, over the years, just pruning it. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this drill. I'm going to add this drill. Or you're at a camp or a clinic, you see something new. I always try to put my own little personal spin on it. Modify the rule a little bit to get, make it a little bit my own. But these are also things that I know are out there that other coaches have used, and thankful to them for inviting me into the gym so I could see it in action.
In terms of the drills today, and in particular the SSG, one of the things I really like is kind of the progression. I feel like we have a drill that really at all levels we're going to kind of start out with, and then we transition to like almost a little higher level, and then it gets into the small-sided game. So really excited to for you to be able to share this with coaches, and they have a chance to ask you some questions about these drills and the SSG that you're going to share today. So why don't we jump into it?
Okay, well, so this is a drill that's on air, a shooting drill. You can have multiple hoops going at once. We call it Ottawa shooting, because as the coach from the University of Ottawa was the one who was leading this at one of the national team camps I was at, so we gave him credit for that. And the idea is to catch the ball ready to shoot. We want to see, your feet, ready, fight for your feet. Your hands are ready, so that when you catch the ball, you just have to rip through and make the pass. Or if you're the person at the end of the line, you pull the trigger and shoot it. And I think it helps the extra pass in our flow offense. So pretty much there's going to be, we'll do 2 minutes, 30 seconds one way, going from left to right. And you can see this rip through 1 to 2, 2 rips through, pass it to 3. And then finally 4 is going to, call one more, and then get the ball up there and shoot it. You follow your pass, or you follow the rebound, and it just keeps going. We usually have about 2 balls per side, so that the teams are competing evenly, and go 2.5 minutes, hit the buzzer, everyone runs around so they reverse themselves, and then the winning team doesn't have to run, or does 5 push-ups while the others does 10, something small like that.
Coach, I really like this for a couple of reasons. Obviously, the constant movement. I like how you talked about how it can be competitive, and you do kind of that 2 minutes and 30-second time slot, and then switch or whatever. But I really like both of those aspects to it. But one of the things I noticed when I watched the video, and I know you're going to share the video with us in a minute, is how the players are catching, ripping, and then passing. And one of the things that really stood out to me is I saw players, as the ball went around left, from right to left, they were passing with their left hand. Is that something that you guys really focus on, fundamentally, is being able to use both hands with the pass, and, and also kind of whipping through? It seems like, there's a lot of good things to this drill, but really like that fundamental aspect, thinking at all levels from, really youth all the way up through the high school and even beyond that. But I really like that aspect of this drill.
Yeah, and the outside hand pass is definitely the point, point of emphasis, being on time and on target with the left hand. And if there's extra coaches, someone might guard players 2 and 3, just get their hands in there so they can't be casual on the rip through. Or, if they're not, if they're throwing it across their chest, just tip the ball, someone will have to go chase it, and it wastes time, and they'll figure it out. So I like to say every drill is a passing drill. So it's as much that player shooting in the corner as it is the 2 and 3, making accurate passes.
That's such an underrated skill, coach. I think being able to use both hands and make those passes on the outside. And I know we're going to take a look at this clip here, which is a really good one. So
yeah, and this was at a provincial training group, some local kids from Toronto that they were about grade 9 and 10, and it's sort of a regular drill we would do with them. And then, if I don't have enough time to do 5 minutes, I make sure we do the left-hand side because you want to tighten up that passing.
I just love as people are watching this, I love how every player is just ripping and then they're making that pass with the outside hand and really protecting the basketball and keeping it out of the defenders, aggressive defenders that have a hand in the passing lane. So it's very fundamental and just a constant flow. Everyone's rotating through, everyone's getting an opportunity. And, obviously, as you mentioned, you could put a coach there in the middle. You could have a coach closing out on the shooter. There's ways that you can continue to advance this. But, I think at all levels, this is a great drill, and it's a quick, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and you're getting players kind of rolling right through here.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of shots up and under pressure, and I probably run it 3 times a week out of the 5 days, maybe even 4. It's a classic drill for us.
Now, do you guys keep track of score? You mentioned in terms of like you might have 2 teams that are competing against each other on each side of the floor, and what do you do? 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and then flip it 2 minutes and 30 seconds and add up the score. Is that how it works?
Yeah, they would just be responsible for keeping score, and if someone lost track of the score, then that group would get 0. So, we might ask anyone what the score was. So some of the guys, they don't speak up. So you might call on someone who looks like they don't know the score, and just to encourage it that everyone's got to know the situation. And then we might have this group. There was just 2 going on at once. Maybe one high school you have both hoops going, but for a training group, you could have all 4 hoops going. They can just communicate with each other, and then we run a bit, go to the water break afterwards.
Yeah, really like it. And so this is kind of like a good, I feel like, and really can be used at all levels. I've seen this used at the high school level, actually even the college level as well. So I feel like there's a lot of value in this. And then I saw your second drill, and being a dribble drive coach or someone who ran the dribble drive, I really love this drill, really love the second drill that you're going to take us into here now.
Yeah, so, and this is one of the things that I like to say is attack the defense twice. I think it was Chuck Daly said, make the defense defend 2 actions. So we know against any good team, the first drive, there's going to be help there. And you're only going to get that against a bad team. So we've got to be prepared to be able to get multiple paint touches. And definitely an emphasis is to get that paint touch before you pass. You don't want anyone to just assume they're passing. When one starts this drill, he's going to drive like he's looking to score, and then he's going to pass to the shooter. So we call it Memphis shooting, and there's usually about 4 balls per side, and we have 1 ball in the middle flanked by 2 wings, and they're going to sprint all the way to the corner. The corner is the corner. They sprint there and come back. We don't want people jogging down the sideline. So we're going to drive, kick the ball out. The pass or exit cuts, and the person who got the original ball is going to repenetrate. So there's a shot here for 1 after the exit cuts. The 2 is going to drive and kick again. So there's a drift, lift, read, depending on how 2 drives it. And so they're going to kick it to number 3. And then 3 can do a pull-up or shoot a 3, whatever his range is. 2 exit cuts and gets the shot. So all 3 shooters get a shot. And then everyone grabs their rebound and moves 1 line over. And then as soon as they're out of the way, the next group of 3 comes down. Same idea that, drive, kick, repenetrate, kick it again. Everyone gets a shot.
I really like this, Coach, for a lot of reasons. Obviously, I mentioned the dribble drive background that I have, but I feel like this is something, and I know 3-man weave is more layup related, but I feel like this is like, a next version of that where, obviously with dribble drive, there's a lot of drive and kick, but you're teaching players to get into the paint, to make that kick, to turn the corner, attack again, like you said, defend multiple actions, then kick again, then catch and score. And they're rotating through all different positions. So I really like this because I feel like you have the passing aspect to it, you have the attacking mentality, and then you have a player getting a shot at the end of it. So I feel like this is great, regardless of the offense you run. Is this something you've used at different levels, or do you focus primarily on the high school level with something like this, or and is there ways to advance it or maybe simplify it depending on the level you're coaching?
Well, I think, I've done, I'm going to show the video with the grade 9 and 10s again, and then it's something we do with high school. I think maybe the first time you're with the team, you'll get guys who want to shoot it right away. They just think there's one drive and kick, and you have to coach the rotation a little bit. Another common error I find is guys not wanting to get the paint touch and just, drift over to the side instead of a hard dribble and a good pass. I'd say I would just probably run it for like 2 to 3 minutes and then get out of it at a higher level. I think I'd still like to do it with my high school team, maybe more 5 years ago than now, because I've added a couple of new drills that are part of the rotation. But I'd say even with a grade 12 team, it's more likely, instead in the 5 minutes, we do 2 drills. We call out Memphis, we do it for 2.5 minutes, and we call out the Spurs drill and do that rather than, so I wouldn't stay in it too long. Or if you're still getting reps, with the younger age, we would run it for say 6 minutes, and then we could say catch and shoot 2s. And after 2 minutes, we call up pull-ups, and we call out 3s for the last 2 minutes. So you can, extend it if you need to get more reps.
One of the things that's come up a lot, Coach, is how to incorporate a lot of players into practice, because some coaches have, one full court that they're using. And I look at these last 2 drills you've shared, and the last one, you have 5 or 6 players that are kind of rotating through, can put the same on the other end of the floor. And this is a drill where you can have a lot of players rotating through because it's pretty rapid fire. So I like, just another reason to think about these drills. If you have a smaller, court space, you could be running something like this on both ends of the floor, and in 2.5 minutes, you can get a lot of reps in with players. So these drills are really, really good for, just a lot of reasons. And I'm really excited for coaches to check out the video clip you're going to share, because I think that really will help them to visualize the benefits of this drill.
And I think also as stations would be a way that we would do it with our Center for Performance. Would be somebody's doing this station, and then at the other end there's 6 people posting up or doing some, and so then they rotate through it. It can be, it can be one of many stations.
It's awesome.
Okay, so here the ball started in the middle. And, coach could play guided defense if you wanted to, or if you didn't have the staff, they can just do it on their own.
One of the things I'm noticing here are 2 coaches that I think is a great point, and I noticed right away when I watched it, is all 3 players are getting a shot at the end of this. So it's not one player that's getting a shot. They're all relocating, sprinting out, and catching and shooting from different angles on the floor. And that's something that's very cool. You don't see that in every drill like this. So I love that you incorporate all 3 players getting shots up.
And it might not always be from the same spot. It depends where the drive goes. And I'll show them a couple of times during the year. Someone like Steph Curry, who does the strong side exit cut kind of as part of their sort of base offense a lot. I'll be like, here's your favorite player exit cutting and being ready to shoot, and that sort of hammers home the point of the exit cut in this drill.
Now, will you guys keep score here or like track anything just to see like how many makes they get, and also, I guess, kind of 2-part question here. How many players, I know 3 players rotate. Do you have about 9 players in the rotation that are kind of coming through, or How many players do you have? And do you track points and make it competitive at any time?
Well, yeah, I would with the older team. If they still, were not mastering the fundamentals. If I was calling for one dribble pull-ups and they weren't so good going to their left, we might not count at that time, just to get the reps going. Nine works great if you've coached them how to do it and they're willing to run. You can do it with six, but that's going to make it a bit of a cardio drill. So you probably only go maybe 4 minutes instead of the six. But yeah, nine would be ideal. But if they know where to go, you can get by with six. And again, it'd be like before the water break. All right, Memphis shooting 5 minutes. Count your score, and then we see which team wins.
So, Coach, these are some great drills to for coaches to think about at different levels. And I like that there's options out of it. The last drill we looked at, there's opportunities to add a defender in there or have someone close out. You get a lot of reps. 2.5 minutes, you can get a ton of reps, and then you can switch it, go the other way. In this particular drill, again, get a lot of players involved, a lot of reps, a lot of shots going up, 3 players catching and shooting at one time. Just 2 great drills that can then build into a small-sided game that involves some passing and decision-making. And I had a chance to look at this, and I know you shared it out in the Get Better Basketball chat last week. So I'm excited for coaches to be able to see not only the diagram, but also the video clip of this as well.
Yeah, and that would be the way I would put it in the practice plan, to start, with a drill on air and then maybe 3-on-3 and then, go 4-on-4 so they can see the progression of it. I might do that Ottawa shooting. Hey, I really want to emphasize the outside hand pass today. And then you start, finish up with the Serbian closeout. So this is the diagram to it. And, this can work whether you have, just 2 teams and they can sort of keep score the whole time. You can have 3 or 4 teams. Winner stays on and gets a point. And pretty much the defense is on the baseline. There's 4 players in our offensive spots on the perimeter, and we skip it across and close out. So when X is sprinting across, X2 has to wait for him to pass in front before he can take off, and X3 has to wait till 2 goes in front of him. The person in front of you has to pass in front of you before you can go. And so the ball gets to 1, and then he's going to swing it around, either using the outside hand pass like Ottawa shooting, or if they want to keep the defense on their toes and one can skip it, I say however you want to get the ball to 4, that's your decision. And then what's going to happen is it's going to be live when 4 gets it. So we might, just be in practicing flow. And so we'd say drive, attack the closeout. So you'd see whether the 4 is giving you baseline, whether 4 is sending you to your left, whether 4 is giving you middle, whatever it is, attack that. And then these other defenders, once they should be in the help side position, so there should be lots of opportunities to pass the ball. So 1-4 here, he could you pass it to the corner, he could pass it back like Villanova does. That we get one more pass. There's lots of options. And I also like this because if you wanted to do your ball screen, 4 has to wait for a ball screen to be set. If you're doing, say, motion strong, 3 and 2 could pin for 1, and then you get a little bit of a strong action. So you can easily put in like quick actions. It doesn't just have to be a dribble drive drill.
In this particular, drill, does it always have to be the 4 who initiates the action? The ball is always going to come around, whether it's a skip or a swing, but it's going to come to the 4, and that's what's always going to initiate the action?
Yeah, well, I don't think of it as the 4 as the power forward. I mean, that could be any one of the 4 players. But yeah, we can get everyone's going to get a touch, or it's going to get skipped over them, and 4 should have like a half-second advantage on their defender. So he should be able to beat him, providing that he's trying hard. And then there will have to be a rotation, and then we teach 4 to read the defense and make the decision, who's going to be open afterwards.
Great way to create an advantage, and I think you and I are very similar. I was pretty much positionless. I mean, maybe I had one of my players who was a little bit more inside oriented, but for the most part, I had 5 players that could really spread the floor and score. So, that 4 player in my vision is a player who can attack and from anywhere. But one of the other things thinking about this is you have 3 teams a lot of times. Is it 4 on 4 on 4? And, if you score, you get to stay on the floor. How do you typically have teams compete? Or is it just a 4 on 4 for a couple of minutes? And how do they accrue points? Is it just made baskets, or do you reward points in this SSG for other things as well?
Well, so sometimes when we do it with grade 7 and 8s, we just have them rotate offense to defense. Just, everyone gets to play both sides. With the older kids, we keep score, and it depends what you want to keep score. Like maybe you just did shell drill and you want to count stops and have a charge wins the game and just stops it no matter what. Or I guess I tend to be more offensive minded. I always say this year I'm going to give points on defense more, but I always seem to default to the offense. So we would say you get a point if you score. The defense has to get the rebound. So I never do it one shot and done, because I feel that just leads to not getting a rebound in a crucial situation. So if the offense gets the rebound, they can stay on offense, and we'll just bring the next team in on defense. No point, but they can stay on. And yeah, we might do first to 5, everything's worth 1. Might do first to 7 with 2s and 3s. Kind of depends to how much time there is.
I like how you play through there, Coach, too, because it makes it more game-like, right? The game, it's not one shot and the possession's over. It really is a great way to emphasize offensive rebounding. It's a great way to obviously have your players get position and get a defensive rebound. So I really like how you kind of let them, play through in that situation. So I know you have a couple of clips that we're going to see here, but I wanted to ask as we're transitioning here, are there some offensive actions that you emphasize? I know you mentioned the ball screen. Are there other things that you might emphasize in this drill, or is it pretty open to what the players want to do in depending on the situation?
Yeah, I think we're primarily doing this one for their decision making. You could cut, like it depends what you practice. Did you just do a bunch of post work? Have someone cut UCLA cut into the post, and started out of a post action. I've done it out of a pin down screen if that was what we were practicing that day. Sets wise, do a lot of 4 out, run some horns, do little quick hitters like flat screens or pistol actions, things like that. But I think the key point is a good team's probably going to stop the first action. Nothing's a guaranteed bucket, so we have to be able to play out of that pass and keep the advantage going.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to show coaches the clip. I had a chance, like I said before, to watch it, and a lot of good things happening here.
Yeah, this was at a Center for Performance camp, and we have some different teams, 4 teams here. You can even have, you can tell the red team, hey, you guys get 3, go to another hoop and compete against different guys, and you can have the whole gym competing. But here we have 4 teams at 1 hoop. And again, we'd probably be coaching the defense, because that was something really easy to give up there. And, there's a coach on the baseline telling them, that we got to make sure they you help.
Really like simple things, that first possession, the quick little jab one way and then attacking. We see a ball screen here in this possession. But, really players learning how to play out of closeouts and out of advantage situations, and, encouraging them to move the ball as well. So just a lot of good things here. Nice extra pass there. Really nice.
Yeah, and then I think that's like the players figure it out. Like Blues figured out that, hey, if I make that extra pass, I can trust my teammates. Where the defense, they figure out, hey, we got to get help a little earlier.
Now, do you guys will you do 2.5 minutes rotating from left to right the pass, and then 2.5 minutes from right to left the pass? So they're attacking from different spots on the floor?
Yeah, I do 50% from both sides, or it could even be like 10 minutes. Depends if there's a lot of teams. Or we might be doing those competitions to 7, stop it, everyone does 5 push-ups, coach makes one quick comment, and then we resume and start keeping score again.
To me, this is what basketball should be, though. I know you need your fundamental drills that we saw already. Just, this is really, you take that drill you did earlier with the 5 passes around the perimeter and the shot. They're making those same 5 passes here, but then it's a live situation. So, but, this is kids are having fun. You can see them, they're competing and they're learning. They're making decisions on the fly. And then, as you mentioned there, coaches can kind of coach them on the fly. If a team comes off the floor, you get a quick hit to kind of talk to them, or there's other ways to do that, to do that as well. And you have, how many teams here are rotating through? Did you say 3 or 4?
This was like a big Center for Performance camp. So we had 4 teams at this hoop, and we were using 6 hoops at this local college. But if you just have your own gym in practice, with my club team last year, we just had 1 court, and there was just us down at one end doing Serbian closeout almost every practice.
Yeah, this is every game you're running into this situation with that pass, a hard closeout, player gains an advantage, and then you're playing basketball from there. So I just think there's so much value in small-sided games, including ones like this. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is not one that I've seen it before, but has not come up a lot. And I'm surprised because there's such a benefit in terms of 4 versus 4 and the scenarios you can create out of this particular SSG. Again, I've heard of it a lot in the past, but I have not had a lot of coaches share it. And I think there's so many benefits from doing this, not just for the offense, but for the defense in terms of closing out, getting in position, getting in help position, and then the communication aspect as well.
Yeah, and if you have 2 coaches, one guy does the defense, one guy does the offense, and kids get a lot of feedback.
So, as we kind of transition, we've seen some great passing drills and now one that incorporates that decision-making aspect. What advice do you have for coaches, really at, not specific to the level, but how do you build this into your practice? Like, I look at this Serbian drill that we're seeing here, and I'm thinking, first day at any level, maybe you could do it at the high school level, like 12th grade level, like you mentioned, but, how do you build to this drill? And what advice do you have for coaches that want to incorporate this in practice and really get the most out of something like this?
All right. Well, so I would lead into it this way. This would be one of our practices would look at with the junior and senior teams practicing some of the core drills together, and then they split off towards the end. So we're probably running Serbian, after leading into it. So this practice we started with some post ups, and then the passing out of the post was sort of a dribble handoff. We did shooting, and then we went into Spurs drill. That's another like flow shooting drill. Then shell, so to sort of work on the rotations, and then into the Serbian closeout. Or I might go a 2-on-0 drill, 3-on-0, and then go 4-on-4 versus Serbian. But the idea was we kind of went into our post play a little bit. We did some shooting, did some motion, did some defense, and then towards the end did the Serbian closeout with a post entry, so they could sort of rep the whole idea. And even the grade 9s on the junior team were able to do it, as effectively as the grade 12s.
Really like the breakdown of your practice plan, Coach, as well. I know we're talking decision making and passing, but I feel like the way in which you transition players and kind of the time frame in which they're working on stuff, and the Spurs drill, the shell drill, and then leading into that Serbian closeout, that competitive SSG, it's a really nice transition from one to the next. So I think as coaches look at this, they're going to get a lot, not just from the drills and the SSG that you shared, but also, from the setup of your practice plan. I think it flows really nicely.
Yeah, and I would, if something wasn't going right, if I felt the defense wasn't, any good, I would extend shell drill. But also, I think sometimes you do your drill, you get out of it, you move on to the next thing. You don't want to have practice grind to a halt. And I'd rather plan too much and have to cut one or two drills out rather than have to improvise. That's sort of my philosophy as a teacher or coach. So it looks
Yeah, I was
intimidating.
always the same way. And to your point, I really like, this is a flexible document. I think you go to practice with your plan, but I think there's days where you feel like we need to spend more time working on this versus this as you're in the flow of it. And, you can always, that shell drill could be 7 minutes instead of 5, and that makes Serbian closeout 5 minutes. So there's some flexibility in that. And I think that's knowing your players and your team. And, I appreciate you saying that, because I think sometimes coaches kind of think this is the format and this is the way. And I think really great coaches are able to kind of have some flexibility in what they do, or like you said, cut out those 1 or 2 drills, over plan a little bit, and then make that adjustment as well. So I think those are some really nice points for coaches.
Yeah, with my club team last year, what we started doing was Serbian right at the start of practice, because it just helped kickstart the competition. We're like, okay, we're warmed up, we're here, let's compete. So you can, once your kids learn it, you can, it's something that can be at the end, it can be at the beginning, or it can be as part of a progression.
So Coach, as we transition here, you've shared a ton of great information with us, including sort of your progression in practice in terms of what coaches should be thinking and how they can incorporate this. And I even like at the end there that you start off practice with your club team with Serbian to kind of jump in to the competition. So as we kind of finish up here, what's one piece of advice that you would give to coaches when it comes to passing and decision making? Because I see that you do a really nice job with the progression leading into an SSG. What's one piece of advice you would have for coaches that you've acquired over the years? Wealth of knowledge, 21 years of coaching experience. So what's something that you've kind of picked up, and maybe in the recent years that you didn't do when you first started coaching?
Oh, I think I'm a lot more tolerant about the practice looking bad. Like someone might make a mistake, whereas before practice must be perfect. We have to look like we're, straight out of a movie. Everything has to be perfect. But I realize no one's going to be learning that way. So if we have a drill, if you're making decision making, there'll be times where it's just looks really bad. But that's okay. You can ask the kid what he was seeing, or try to talk him through that read, or you can just let it go, because if they telegraph their pass or use the wrong hand and it's a turnover, they're getting instant feedback. They know it was a bad pass. Or you could bring some film from the game to show good and bad decisions. But I think just understand there's going to be some mistakes, but that's okay. That's part of basketball. And I think in the last few years, I've been a lot more tolerant about letting the kids play and figure things out. Because we don't have a lot of timeouts in Canada. We play with FIBA. So you have 2 timeouts in the first half, 3 in the second. And, you can't stop it every time something goes wrong.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that. And I think that's something that coaches have to get comfortable with, and kind of comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's the mistakes that happen, and how players can learn from those, especially in practice. And then you transition into a game and you only get X amount of timeouts. They're able to play through some of that, communicate with each other, and correct some of that on the fly. So I appreciate you saying that, because I know that's something that comes up a lot, but that's tough for coaches to do. So someone with your experience level and sharing that, and that's something that you've kind of acquired over time, I think that holds a lot of weight. Well, I appreciate you joining us tonight, Coach. You've shared a ton of drills, practice plan, and a lot on passing and decision making. So I think coaches will have a lot to digest. And as they do, is there somewhere if coaches wanted to reach out to you, connect with you, ask questions about these drills or any of the other great things you're doing, is there somewhere that they can connect with you?
Yeah, well, I guess I just want to say, we've all been coached and taught by other people, so it's not like these are original drills that I made, but I'm always trying to learn one thing new every day, and that's how I've picked it up. So I have a website, which is my last name, bourgase.com, bourgase.com. And then on Twitter, I'm Coach Brock. And then I'm also on Instagram as Coach Bourgase, and I try to post little basketball hits there as well.
Well, I hope coaches, reach out if they do have any questions. And you make a great point about being able to acquire information from different sources. But I do think there's a lot of, value in coaches and how they're able to take in that information. And I think you mentioned this at the beginning of our conversation, make some tweaks and make things your own in certain ways, but also take things out. And there's certain things we also kind of leave behind. So that's a tough thing for a lot of coaches. And just hearing you talk tonight, seems like you have a really good grasp on what your players need, how to get them to acquire the skills they need to be successful. So I really appreciate you sharing with us tonight. And I hope we can do this again down the road in the future.
Oh, and thanks a lot. I love the Wednesday chat. It's a great way to get that one new fact every day, to add to your toolbox. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Coach, and have a great night.